truth can glow. We go beyond what the world might show. Beyond the rainbow, we talk, we share a little magic, hanging in the air from quiet tears to the biggest dreams. We find the light in the in-between. So come as you are, let the colors flow. We're going deep, we're going slow. Right here, right now, let the real you show. On beyond the rainbow, every story has a glow. Beyond the
I love having my own theme tune. Hello, everybody. Hello, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and everybody who, as of yet, hasn't decided. Welcome to the show where we get in deep, shall we put it, with your favorite Wrestling with Pride stars, where we get to find out who they are behind the characters you know and love. So please join me as we go beyond the rainbow with my guest at this time, Sassy Bear Clarence.
Hey up, hello lovelies.
Sassy, hello. I'm hoping you're not sweating as much as we are up here in North, but
I mean, the fan
Oh.
has been some help, but yeah, it has been warm today.
it's not been a fun day, to put it delicately. But how are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. Can't complain. So yeah, all well my end.
Upright compass mentis, just about. Right. Well, as always, this evening we are sponsored by the lovely people over at the Tipsy Cow, the place to be on the ace scene in Newcastle. So get yourselves down there now. Hello to Eddie, who's watching along this evening. Right, so we've had a lot of good questions in for you, some of which you may recognise from last time. But we'll get started with something nice and simple.
Okay.
How did you get started in wrestling?
It's quite a long story actually. So I hope you're all right with long stories. But anyway, so how it kind of like first started was I was always like a fan of wrestling as a kid. First match I ever watched was actually a recorded match from SummerSlam '92 between Bret Hart and British Bulldog. It was quite a big deal back then because it was like the first pay-per-view we ever got in England. So yeah, so basically had that recorded over on VHS back in the day. And I then started religiously following it as the Attitude Era kind of like rolled around. And since then, I've just been hooked on it ever since. And how I kind of like started, getting into like training to be a wrestler is even more interesting, which it was literally just teenage curiosity because like I loved it so much. It was like, how do I get my foot in the door kind of thing. And it wasn't until I literally did a Google search. And at the time, this would have been 2004. There was a promotion by the name of Revolution British Wrestling that was doing training relatively nearby to me, which was unheard of back then. I think you could literally count on like one hand the amount of places to train back then. Obviously now that's like doubled and maybe tripled around the country per se. But back then it was a crapshoot, to put it bluntly, to find training, even training with a ring back then. But yeah, about 2004 I started training with Revolution British Wrestling, and I was with them religiously till about 2012, as I had like a lot of like personal demons to sort of like take care of. So I just kind of like took a hiatus by that point, and then got around back to it by about June 2018. And since then, I've never looked back since. I was going through like some pretty miserable times with like losing job after job before that point. And if it weren't for the wrestling training, it would have been a completely different story for me, to say the least. But I'm glad the journey started there. And from that point, it's been strength for strength up to now, really. So
age-old story, isn't it? See it on TV, you want to give it a try. Completely ignore the don't do this at home warnings. Who actually paid attention to those?
Well, I
But
remember the first one I saw had a bit more stink to it than the later ones. The later ones, I don't know, they didn't quite hit it for me.
you know what? They don't do that. They've definitely watered them down. It's not as oh,
Yeah.
that looks dead cool. I want to do that. Hmm.
Like
Kids are just like,
at least with the other one, they showed more details on like, oh, this is what happens when stuff goes wrong. I'm like, ooh.
exactly. Like here, I jumped off this thing and I broke my knee. And thinking that's the kind of thing you want to be doing. Not to put people off ever trying it, of course.
Yeah,
But be careful. Do things the right way.
for good reason.
Oh, it's. I think we've all been there with training injuries. But moving on to the next one here, what would you say is the biggest moment so far in your career?
Biggest moment so far in my career. Oh, that's a really good question, actually. So I'd say biggest moment for me would be having to like wrestle for like it was like first ever like Pride show that happened in Blackpool,
Mm-hmm.
and that was I believe that was for PCW. Now that I think about it, yeah, it was actually through Priscilla, and it was actually through Priscilla who got in contact with me and asked if I'd be interested in the show. I'm like, I'd be honest, I'd be absolutely honored to do so. And I remember just like going to the venue. It was a lovely venue as well. Funny Girls, I think it was called. It was like a sort of like a drag sort of cabaret sort of venue.
I think I know the place you mean.
It's a huge, lovely venue. Like I remember seeing like screenshots of the venue before I got there, and I'm like, this is largest venue that I've probably ever been. And I'm just looking at it thinking, in my head, how was the setup going to be? And setup was relatively simple, kind of similar to very sort of like old school promotions where you have like the stage, and then there's a gap, and then there's the crowd sort of beyond, and the ring would be on the stage, and
oh yeah,
it was probably the biggest crowd I ever like wrestled in front of, very much close to like 300 at that point. So yeah, very, very huge crowd. Pretty much a sellout at that point, and just everything about it, just the rush, the buzz, the adrenaline. It was unreal, like anything else I ever felt before. And funny enough, there's a bit of story with that show, actually. It was during my tag match. It was myself and Riley against, I believe it was Joey Hayes. I forget the name of his tag team partner. They were tag team known as the Models.
Yeah, I think another guy you mean. Yeah,
I always forget his name, but Joey, for some reason, I remember his name quite well. But I remember, like, everything was going really relatively well. Like, got along really well with the guys. They were very sort of like old school style, which I kind of was as well. There was one point though where the ring was, the view facing crowd's view, there's like a very small like flooring at the front of it. So yeah, you really got much room to do much on that flooring. Otherwise, beyond that, there's like a deep drop, which is where a lot of the barmaids were like doing like a lot of the drinks and stuff.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I was at least hoping for him to like throw me out to the side because I'm thinking safety in my head kind of thing. But then literally he was like, I get where he's coming from because like he wants the crowd to see it and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm just there like to get a deep swallow as I go for it, thinking there's probably a good chance I'm gonna die here. And then as I get thrown out, there's a moment where I stop falling. And I'm just there like, what on earth's happened? And I turn around and the middle rope and the bottom rope is actually wrapped around my ankle.
Oh God. Wow.
The first time that's ever happened to me in like the 6 years I've been wrestling. It was just one of those things where pounded out the ring many a times without a hitch. And this one time somehow bottom and middle rope is like wrapped around my ankle. It's similar to what happened with Mick Foley in Germany, but his was like the neck, and he didn't realize they didn't tighten the ropes as he went for that spot. But yeah, luckily it stopped me from falling. So for a while, I'm just like, hamming it up, for the crowd, like. But then the realization sets in and be like, oh crap, I'm actually stuck.
Like, I'm dangling upside down here, people. This is not doing my head any good.
My partner and the referee were struggling to get me out of the ropes, but eventually Joey helped me get out. But for the sake of kayfabe, I just gave him a strike afterwards. But
oh wow!
But apart from that, it was a fun little moment for my career. It's probably the biggest moment of my career so far.
That's good. It's good to have those, albeit terrifying, I imagine, in the moment. It's good to have those memories, those little moments that you'll all of a sudden think back on and be like, that actually happened, didn't it? Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I'm sure we've all got an absolute novel's worth of them. But this is a good one. What's the strangest question a fan's ever asked you? I'm sure you're going to have a quarter here.
There are... So, I actually have, like, 2 stories. So, one from a fan. The other one was actually from, like, another wrestler on the show. But I'll get to the fan one first, because that's... So... It was during like the meet and greet section of like at the end of the show. Like I forget which show this was. Might have been in Essex. I could be wrong, but I remember during the meet and greet, one of the fans literally looked at me and asked them, "Do you wear fake eyelashes?" And I get why she asked it. I'll briefly show it. So it's like for some reason my eyelashes are like bigger than like most guys, but they're like natural eyelashes, so they're like big natural as it is. And she was like, "Do you wear fake eyelashes?" And I'm looking at her thinking, I struggle for time putting face paint on my face, let alone stick fake eyelashes on me. So I was just like completely bewildered that a fan had ever like asked me sort of like that question before.
To be fair, it says a lot, really. If they're noticing that level of detail about you, that's a good thing. It means they were paying attention.
I mean, that's quite the keen eyesight, if I ever do say so myself. So the other question I was asked was, so I was like doing a double this day. So I just finished a show for Ultimate Brutal Wrestling and was heading over to WrestleForce at the time. And my opponent for that day, Voodoo, he was panicking, thinking, "I ain't got any ideas for the match. If you got anything," I'm like, "I'll ask the promoter, see what's needed, and then push, cover you there." So I arrived, got to the locker room, and I couldn't believe he actually asked me this. It really did kind of like caught me off guard kind of thing. So he literally asked me, "How gay is your comedy?" And I, for what felt like a minute of like silence from myself, I'm just there processing like, how do I answer this? So I was just like, depends on the crowd. And then he was just like, "Oh, it's a family show kind of thing." And I'm like, "Oh, well, we'll go camp. It's fine." I just never expected anyone to literally like ask pretty much like that to me. So I was just kind of like caught off guard per se.
It's blunt, but I suppose it could have been worse. I could have asked you in the ring.
I mean, that would have been even more awkward, really. But
I'm just 30 seconds of standing there just going, "You really asked me that? Oh crap, we're in the middle of something." So next one up here. Who or what one moment would you say has been the biggest influence on your career so far?
Okay. Biggest influences. I mean, I'll be honest, I have a few. I have honestly, if I could literally narrow it down to at least 3, I could easily do that. Like from like a wrestling influence per se, it would be guys like Dr. F. Steve Williams and Bam Bam Bigelow, Big Van Vader for like the style of wrestling, this big man, big powerhouse, but athletic backgrounds and a bit of agility to them despite their size. Exotic 18th Street was actually a really big influence for like the Sassy Bear Clarence sort of character per se. And even then there was like a lot of like more pop culture sort of like influences I had for like Sassy Bear Clarence as a whole as well. People like David Bowie and Prince, and just guys like that are able to like come up with those kind of ideas. Hi, Karis.
I did like No Sassy, No Party.
Oh yeah,
love it.
Great. Bless you.
Oh, goodness me. Oh, one of those this time of year does my nutting. Hay fever. Love it. But yeah, I mean, at this point, this is usually where we would say, socials. If you're following us on Facebook, you'll be keeping an eye out for all of our match promotions for the next show coming up November 29th. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. Wherever you can find us, we are Wrestling with Pride, and give us a follow. give us a like, give us a share. It helps more than you could possibly know. And yeah, we've got our lovely media guy with all the information at the bottom of the screen there. And also as well, we had a couple of hellos in the comments there while we were talking. But hello to everybody watching, both on hello Becky. I saw Brian, our referee there. Hello Justin. Getting quite a few viewers this time. Wonderful.
Happy days.
I know, I'm so pleased. Right, so what does it mean to you to be part of Wrestling with Pride? Like, somewhere that isn't just for the Pride Month season, is something that's there all year round. What does that mean to you as a performer and as a person outside of the character?
As a performer, what it means to me is being able to like showcase a different style of like wrestling, or just a different like visual of like a wrestler to a very different audience than I usually would wrestle in front of. So as a performer, that's what that means to me. For me, as like a person outside of it, it's nice to have like a show that not only like caters to like people of pride, people of LGBT and stuff like that. And it's nice, it's not just limited to like 1 month a year. It's in fact very much something that's been like sort of consistently going on as the year goes by. And it's always something I'm always happy to be proud of, always happy to like pretty much, you know, fly the flag proud, if anything, and always nice to show, you know, people are from different shapes and sizes within the community. It's not just the narrow-minded sort of like looking at it thinking, oh, it's just all like slender guys that are like fit and sexy and stuff like that. And I'm like, not necessarily, because you still got the big guys, the bears, that seems to not get much of a look in. And something quite recently, when I was at Wrestling with Pride, something that was actually quite nice is for the longest time, this is probably going to be a skill reference, but for the longest time, I always felt like a David from Little Britain, the only gay in the village.
Yes.
To which I felt like the only bear in wrestling, at least in the UK per se, until I met Jimmy Kumar at Wrestling with Pride, and we just both just kind of like were just like pretty much in like a mutual feeling of like we're glad we're not the only ones that like exist,
Like,
kind of thing.
I'm not alone anymore.
Yay!
Oh, I love that. I really do. Now this is one. I'm sure he doesn't mind me actually telling you that this came from him, from our media man.
Ah.
You have a hairstyle that stands out above a lot of people. Is there any inspiration behind it?
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm quite a fan of like the mullet haircut per se. Like a lot of like old school sort of like 70s, 80s, even 90s wrestling. There's always at least a guy or two with a mullet, and it to me it always like stands out in like a really good way, because it's something I've always like prided to as like a performer, is to like stand out, just because the amount of wrestlers in this day and age, it's madness, absolute madness. So you're having to go that extra mile just to stick out from that large crowd of people. And something I quite liked was during the time I always wanted mullet haircuts when I was like 14. But my mum was just like, "Oh, it looks tacky and it doesn't look like professional and stuff like that." But here I am rocking it to this day. So put that in your pipe and smoke it, so to speak. But it was so I started out with just like this weird bob of hair that I just didn't know what to do with, and then it wasn't until literally one day the side was annoying me so much, so I'm literally just like, right, got the shaver, whack, and then the realization kicked in, and I was like,
hello.
That's a mullet. Heck yeah, I'm holding this. And then lockdown happened and it just grew like a lion's mane.
It became a signature.
Yeah, and you know, I've always like done like the mullet, but I've always like rocked like different styles of mullet. So many wrestlers that have like rocked the mullet that I've always been like, you know, thumbs up to. Shawn Michaels, when he was like just getting started in like sort of a singles run, that was like a big influence. Crush was another one during this sort of like Kona Crush kind of phase. He had a fantastic mullet on him. Eddie Guerrero had a fantastic mullet in his time as well.
I've seen pictures.
Yeah, absolutely. Even Dr. F.C. Williams had this proper like lion's mane mullet, which was incredible. And guys like Tatanka, Ricky Morton, Mike Olson, I could go on and on. There's been so many mullets in wrestling that I'm just like, love it. Even Finley had a great mullet in his time as well. So it was just one of those haircuts where I'm like, you know what, this works. And what's
It
quite
fits
nice,
me, it fits you.
and what's quite hilarious is when I actually started doing it was way before like there was ever like news stories and stuff like that saying there's a comeback for the mullets, and I'm like, royalties.
That's
I started
trendsetter, we thought.
Yeah, I started that way before you started to announce it. But what I quite like is since I started like rocking it, I have noticed a few wrestlers here and there that have been rocking it as well. So I'm like, I've started.
I'm a trendsetter. I love it.
I've thrown the seeds in the crops and they're growing. So
It's like, enjoy, everybody. Enjoy the fruits of my labour.
yes,
we did have a little hashtag mullet watch comment there.
nice, love it, love it.
So this one's is always a bit of an interesting one to see if anybody does have an answer to this one. Is what facts do you think people would be surprised to learn about you?
Oh really? Oh, okay. All right. That is a rather interesting question, actually. I mean, it's a good question, actually. So, facts people be surprised. What, as in like
We
former?
wouldn't expect to hear it from you.
All right. I mean, I feel like for the most part, I guess some people would have known a fair bit about me. I mean, I'm very like flexible in like music genres. Like a lot of people seem to just have like this is like my set music genre that's going to be on my Spotify playlist. But if anything, on my Spotify playlist, it's all over the place in terms of genres. Like to the extent it may cause you whiplash. Like 1 minute it'll be like Iron Maiden's playing or something like that, and then just out of the blue it'll be like Idol 65. Well, Idol 65, Blue Double D Double I, whatever it was called. And then it'd be like Stevie Wonder or something, and then a bit of Billy Ocean. And then it just goes to like sort of like death metal kind of stuff as well, like baby metal and stuff like that. So I feel like my very flexible taste in music would be something that'd be quite surprised, because I know some people that would look at me thinking, looks like he's a man of metal taste. And it's like, I like my metal, yes, but I also like rock.
I have other tastes as well.
But you know, I like metal, I like rock, I like synthwave, I even like 80s pop and stuff like that, and new wave. Like that's my jam as well, sort of thing. So yeah.
It's a good one, that one. And we did have one down in the comments there as well, Sharon. That one did make me laugh. Apparently you have a ring wife.
Yes. Yeah, well, that would be Karis, yes.
Acknowledged. So this one was quite a deep one for when we spoke to Eddie last time. Was, do you have any particular pre-show or pre-match routines or superstitions?
Okay. It tends to change. Really, just depends on like sort of like the setting and vice versa. Like if it's an outdoor show, it'll be a bit different to like say an indoor show with like yeah. So usually like pre-match pre-show sort of like routines. A lot of the time I'm usually like ready relatively early for a match, regardless if I'm like, you know, opening match, main event, or just in the middle of the card. Like I'm usually like ready early, but then it's not just the fact that I'm like slipping on the gear, it's also painting the face and stuff like that. Yeah. And then there are times where I've got to like do like a few more coatings on the paint, because sometimes it's just like, if it was like in this weather, yeah. If it was just in this weather, it'd just melt off completely. It'd be like Wicked Wizard of the Witch from Wizard of Oz kind of thing. I'm melting. But yeah. I think another thing that used to be sort of like a pre-show routine, at least in some cases, I used to do this quite a bit when I started wrestling, not as much, say, anymore, was I would just like lather myself in baby oil just to make myself look shiny and stuff like that to the cameras and stuff like that. But a lot of the time there'll be bits where it starts to like not look as shiny as the show comes on. So I just put another coat on kind of thing. That's what I don't do it as often now, but it's very sort of like hit and miss kind of thing. I don't know. Coin flip, so to speak.
As it's needed. You'll know when it's needed kind of thing.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So
Oh, good. What was I going to say there? Brain's gone completely. This heat is literally melting my brain. I swear to God. I'm going to say. Do you know what it is? The one thing about being a glasses wearer in this kind of heat, you sweat that much, your glasses start steaming up. That's not good. So right now, I literally cannot see a darn thing, folks. Like, I would say, call me Cena because I can't see right now.
I totally
There
get
we
that.
go.
Yeah.
We're good. I'm good.
Nice.
Right. So at this point, I'd like to take a second to tell everybody about our Patreon. All the shows will be available as soon as our lovely media man can get them all edited and ready for the people who could not make it along to Biker. And if you can't make it along to Biker, what you doing? You're missing out on the best part. Seeing people get their backsides beat in Lycra live. What more could you want? Anyway, Patreon, get yourself subscribed for playing back this show, of course, which goes on Patreon after we've been live. All of our shows, and again, coming up on November, and Eddie said March. Oh my God. Coming up November 29th, we have Pride and Punishment, which will be on Patreon shortly after the show has ended. Anyway, back to the torture. Right. We have next up, some of these are a bit quick fire. Your favorite drink?
Favorite drink? I mean,
it can be alcoholic or non-alcoholic. I think Eddie did both last time.
You know what? I could easily do both as well. Actually, non-alcoholic, it would be Pepsi Max Cherry. Like I'm usually quite fond of like any sort of like cherry flavored, like sort of like Coke and stuff like that. That would be like Coke Zero Cherry, Dr Pepper, for example. But when they did Pepsi Max Cherry, I kind of prefer it more than just the normal Pepsi Max. It's just that extra flavor really did it for me. So that was good. Alcoholic, I'll be honest, it'd be a sort of a coin flip between Malibu and Coke or Copperberg.
Oh, the cider. Yes. There's a bar in my town that like literally used to have banners for that stuff outside.
Yeah. Again, it's just because the flavors to them are really nice.
Yeah. Some a bit more tangible. This one came in from some of my good friends in the States. What is your go-to cheat meal?
So I'll be honest, most of the time it's usually pizza. Like I am a sucker for pizza, absolutely. Like if I'm just having like a really sort of like miserable day kind of thing, pizza usually cheers me up kind of thing, and you can't really go wrong with it. Like I mean, there's my local pizza place, which is fantastic for like delivery and stuff like that. Banned from Jack Daniels.
And Jack Daniels.
but my local pizza place was like really good for like doing the pizzas there. It's like a really good quality, and it's not like costing an arm and a leg. Looking at you, Domino's. So that's usually like one cheat meal. Sometimes if it's a case where I've just finished a show and I'm still starving, and annoyingly the only place relatively open late at that time is usually like a McDonald's. So sometimes I usually hop into a McDonald's just to get something just to eat beforehand, because annoyingly everywhere else is shut after midnight.
Right. Side note, if you ever go to Glasgow, there is no word of a lie. You've probably seen this. There is an intersection near the train station where you have McDonald's, you have KFC, and both of them are open until like 3 or 4 a.m.
Yes.
I know. And there's a Pizza Hut too.
Oh, that's good. That's definitely cheered me up. That has, goddamn.
Oh god. So next up, if you weren't wrestling, would you be involved in another sport?
I'll be honest, probably not. To be honest, if it weren't for wrestling, I don't think I would have like the motivation or interest in just anything else, like professionally, per se. I mean, as a sports background, I did used to do like a lot of like rugby, a lot of swimming and stuff like that. But I don't. It was really just something like, you know, I enjoyed it, but I don't think I would really take them up professionally. So yeah, I don't think there'd be any other sport I'd be involved in. Wrestling, yeah.
You found your niche, and you love it. Okay, this is good. This is a good one. Who would play you in a movie of your life?
Oh, that is a very good question. Crikey. Who's that fella I'm thinking of? He was in I forget his name. Matt Berry is a name that I usually get compared to. I think he's done like a lot of like voice work, a lot of like British TV show. I think he's appeared on the IT Crowd a few times as well. I think I've got the name right. It was Matt Berry, wasn't it? I'm trying to think if that was his name.
I'm awful with names.
Yeah, Matt Berry, that's the guy. So I get compared to him like a lot, looks wise. So I guess in that sense, he'd be like perfect casting for like the looks and appearance. Maybe maybe like a stunt double for like the wrestling stuff, because I don't think, bless him, I don't think Matt would be able to do it. But I think he'd be perfect for like a lot of the sort of serious moments as well as like comedic moments as well. Like he's also quite blunt, like I can be as a person as well. So I think he'd be like perfect casting.
Cool. I mean, to be fair, I'm still, that flashed me straight back to Eddie saying Zac Efron last week. To be wonderful casting. We'll have to see if he would actually get paid for it. So next up, if you could offer just one piece of advice to anybody just starting out, what would it be?
I mean, it's one piece of advice. Okay. If there was one thing I would advise to anyone starting out in wrestling, literally use each match that you have as a learning experience. What I mean by that is you have your match, and anything that went wrong, use that as a pin note for something to work on your next match, and then your next match after that, and then your next match after that. And eventually, you'll get to a point where you're not having to say plan so much in a match. As I've never really been one to like plan much for like matches, kind of per se. It's just something that I felt easier to just like bullet point rather than just like, I don't know, write a novelle of like, and then we locked up, and then he pulled my wrist, and then I frantically twisted his wrist, and then he rolled like he was on the couch per se, and then all that jazz. And it just give me a headache. Just, like, especially when you like the message you with like paragraphs of ideas they have. I'm like, take this as a note, scrap the rest. Scrap the rest. But like, yeah, that's probably something else I say. Don't plan too much in a match as well. That's a crucial.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah, that's a very crucial one for me. Like, I know some people do it because their memory's not great, but trust me, in time, your memory will improve the less you think about it. And the less you think about it, the less you ain't got to worry so much about it. Obviously, there's the case of like freak accidents that happen. That's completely out of our controls and stuff like that. But like general, I'd say, yeah, just use each match as like a learning curve, and also don't overthink, overplan anything.
Yeah. You psych yourself out when you do things like that, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. I mean, Lord knows we've all done it. Right. If you were given the chance to go to one of the big promotions anywhere in the world, no questions asked, which one would it be and why?
Oh, baby. big promotions. Wow. I mean, there's a variety of places I would love to go, regardless. Like, if I was ever given like an opportunity, like, I don't know, TNA wrestling or even like WWE, I'd take the opportunity, because why would I not? That would be, because at the end of the day, it's like, you know, it's getting the foot in the door, and then if it's a case of like you tried out and they're not quite what they're looking for, you're still on like the short list for if they need you again per se. It's kind of like similar to like jobs, really, like any job that you work in, like, or you're trying to apply for. They'll be like, you know, appreciate you applying for it, and like give us a bit of a taste of yourself and stuff like that. We unfortunately you're not accepted at the time, but this isn't a straight up no, but this is more of a,
it's not right now.
Yeah, not right now, but maybe in the future per se. So a bit like that. So I feel like with that sense, places like TNA wrestling and WWE would be pretty decent places
Look forward
too.
to.
I would, if it were a case, I get like a call from like, I don't know, Pro Wrestling Noah or even like New Japan. I'd take that up because I'll be honest, Japan has always been like a huge goal for me in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I've always watched like a lot of like the old school like New Japan, All Japan, Pro Wrestling Noah stuff from like late 80s, 90s, 2000s, and what. The thing that amuses me a bit is where people like they complain that they don't understand what the commentary is, but I'm like, focus.
You don't have to.
Focus on the ring. Focus on the action in the ring. Watch the body language. They're telling you a story, mate. That's kind of what we do as wrestlers, and sometimes they do tell some bloody good stories in Japanese wrestling, and the crowd always fascinates me in like Japanese wrestling as well. But it's like usually where I'm so conditioned, like the crowd side, oh dear, what have I done? But then in Japan, it's like, no, they're actually paying attention. They're giving you respect. They're like watching you.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard the stories about that, but it's I'd like to see live one day.
Yeah. I think out of the big promotions, it would be, like I said, either like TNA Wrestling, WWE, Pro Wrestling Now, or New Japan would be like, if I ever get a call from any of them for an opportunity to do such
Like,
shows.
bye. Oh, wait.
Yeah. Just like, do I even need to ask?
It's a silly question.
Take my passport, take my money.
The crazier it is, the more Japan loves it.
That is very true, especially in Japan.
Oh well, I'd be knackered. the crazy went by the wayside a long time ago. What's the funniest rib or prank you've ever done anybody on a show?
There's been many. Oh my words. There's been a couple actually. So I think a common one I usually do, particularly in like Rumble matches, is I would literally just take like one of the new guys, give them a snapmare, tell them to stay there, but then while they're staying there, I've gone on elsewhere. I just continue to go. So I'm literally just waiting for them to like see how
realize you've gone.
Yeah, and a lot of them usually say it's like, "Why'd you do that?" I'm like, I'm just testing you, see if you're listening. And if you're listening, fair job. That'd be a good thing to learn in wrestling is if you listen, then you're in good hands.
Learning.
You're in good hands. Another one I do remember. So there was a guy. So we used to be like very sort of like back and forward with like ribs back then. I get it. Sometimes life gets so bloody boring, and then you're having to just do things just as like entertainment's sake. Which I feel like a lot of people these days, they get the wrong idea of ribs. I mean, if it's done like in malice and stuff like that, then I think you're doing it wrong. Personally, I like it where you see the humor and the comedy to it. Kind of thing. And basically, I had like some 8x10 like merch, sort of like set up to start like selling out for his show. And then I come back and there was like this weird little white paint that was just spilt on them. And this guy was like saying, "Oh, I'm really sorry, clowns. I got too excited." Basically, like implying that. Basically implying that, but then it's just like, right, I'm going to get you back. I'm going to get you back, sunshine. And then comes the moment where he's about to go out to the curtain for his match, and you know those kind of pillows where it's one color, but then you brush it over and it's another color. I forget what they're called.
Yes, and otherwise where they got the sequins on them.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, so he had like an entrance jacket, which was that material. And I was like, "Hey, Charlie, wait, before you go, you got a bit of dirt in the back for there. Let me just sort you out." So then what I literally just then did was I basically went to the back of it and just drew a penis on the back of his entrance jacket without him even knowing. And then literally he goes out the curtain, the crowd sees it and they're laughing hysterically at him. And he's looking around thinking, what are you laughing at? And then literally it'd be a case of just like, he takes his jacket off. He sees I've drawn the penis. He's like, "Clarence!" Like angrily, just.
That is. I would love to do that.
I die laughing just thinking about it to say. And even then, every time he does a rib of me, so a common one he tries to do is pull people's shorts down, kind of thing. Easy one. Problem
Everybody's been kegged.
Yeah, but thing is, I'm having to do mine tightly to stop them from falling down, like general life. So every time he goes to do it, and realizes how tight, and I'm like, he's done it too tight. I just say, "You're waiting for that moment, Charlie, but it's going to be a long time."
I saw a young'un once learn that one the hard way from the lovely Mr. Ewan G. Mackey, getting he got everything was down. Stood there going, I know your mum. Why? Just why? But moving on from funny things, what is the? Because you mentioned Eden Street, I think it was earlier on.
Yes.
Besides him, are there any other inspirations you can think of for the Sassy Bear character?
Yeah, I think I briefly mentioned it earlier, but so how I kind of like came about with the Sassy Bear character is like where I was like studying a lot with like Agent Street, like sort of because a lot of I think that was like a recommendation from Joseph Connors, if I remember rightly. So I think there was a seminar with him one time. Basically, they were. I think throughout that time, they were just sort of like looking at me, and they were all thinking, "Oh, he's probably got like a trucker gimmick or something like that." Like obvious, just like, all right, he's probably got that. But then the minute I started like showing off the Sassy Bear Clarence gimmick to them, they were generally like taken aback and quite surprised, but in a good way. Kind of thing. There was like, I'll be honest, you really surprised us. We were not expecting that gimmick from yourself. It's like outside of the ring, different. But then the minute I'm through that curtain, it's just all Clarence, baby, all Clarence. But then like I remember like Joseph Collins like saying to me, you know, someone that I think would be really good for you to study would be like Adrian Street, because like you got like a lot of like his mannerisms and stuff like that. And really, how I kind of like did it is like I was just thinking to myself, what if Adrian Street was like a big powerhouse wrestler, but to also go with the times, what if it was someone from the LGBT community doing that kind of a gimmick? So yeah, it was just sort of like that sort of like little bit of observation. But there has been like again other like inspirations for like the gimmick as well. I think one other person I remember being recommended, like especially for like mannerisms and stuff like that, was Michael P.S. Hayes, but particularly from like his Freebird days, because a lot of the time he's very much like oozing confidence and like flamboyance every time he gets to the ring, kind of thing. There was another one. I'm trying to think. Who was it? There was a very old school wrestler. I remember someone mentioning, like back in the sort of the black and white days. But he had like a background in gymnasts before he became a wrestler, and had like a lot of that going for him. I want to say Billy Starks, but I could be wrong. I couldn't remember the name, but I'm sure someone will easily.
Probably mention it in the comments.
probably like jog my memory on that and stuff like that. But if you know, that'd be great. But yeah, and even from like outside of wrestling sort of influence, people like David Bowie, Prince, even Elton John's like more like happier, sassier periods were definitely like, sort of, like inspirations for like sort of the mannerisms and sort of like the presentation of sort of like kind of thing.
It's like a melting pot. It's a melting pot that you see all those influences. That's good.
Yeah.
Right. Well, now the next one is this was a good one. What made you choose the name Sassy Bear Clarence?
Right. So, fun little story. So, I remembered at the time my trainer Paul Ash, who used to wrestle in FWA in a tag team called New Breed, as Ash, and he was Ash. His partner was Curve at the time. So he was coming up with his idea because at this point in time, I was doing like a different gimmick, Sledgehammer Bets. There's one on the beds. Yeah, hang on. But like, so as I was saying, so yeah, Paul Ash was the one that was coming up with this idea of the gimmick. At the time, I was doing like a different gimmick, Sledgehammer Bets, just to like sort of get my foot in the door, kind of thing. It was early days as it is, and. Obviously, the idea of it wasn't going to be like a long-term plan, but it was like a plan to sort of like get my foot in the door kind of thing and to sort of like convert to something else. And for the longest while, Paul Ash was like trying to think of ideas and what would be a cool way to sort of convert to it kind of thing. And then he was like saying about, you know, he had this idea for a gimmick that was like sort of flamboyant and very sassy and just had like a lot of like confidence, and he was like free and just sort of like, you know, happy and stuff like that. And my sort of attitude towards it was like, I'll give it a go, and if it gets over, great. But if it didn't, at least I tried.
It was gonna be like,
yeah, at least I tried. And that's kind of what my attitude was to the gimmick. And the more I thought about it, and I think even by that point, there was someone recommending me to sort of binge watch RuPaul's Drag Race for like mannerisms as well. And I'll be honest, the minute I started watching it, I couldn't stop watching. It'd be like
Same.
2 o'clock in the morning, and it's like I really want to see what happens next, but reality is it's so late.
I need sleep.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. And so how the name kind of came about really was I was like trying to figure out names for this gimmick because we didn't have a name for it at the time.
Mhm.
And so I was flicking through this old list of like old like created wrestler names from like the LWE games that I just had lying around. And the name that stuck out to me was Clarence. And I had that name because it's like it's a guy's name, but it's very feminine sounding. There's nothing masculine about it whatsoever. And so I then messaged Paul saying, well, I've got this name Clarence knocking about. What do you think? And well, excuse my language. He was like, I fucking love it. Like, absolutely love it. And then how the whole thing kind of came around was there was one time, one of my closest friends, Paddy, he just kept referring to me as a Sassy Bear. And then I sort of paused and was like, wait a minute, Sassy Bear Clarence, Paddy, you fucking genius. And then since at that point, I've never looked back since. And it's just been one of those names where, because a lot of the problem I have with a lot of wrestlers is there's like several people called Johnny or several people called Tom or Rob or Paul, David.
Yeah, have like relatively common names.
Stuff like that. But then I don't think there's really been like anyone else called Clarence this day and age. I think the only frame of reference I have is Clarence Mason, who was like a very short-lived manager for Nation of Domination. But he's not usually the first two names you would think of. Like, if you like went up to someone like, okay, list me some names of Nation of Domination members, they would be like, oh, The Rock, Farouk, Kyle Mustafa, D'Lo Brown, Mark Henry. He'd be the last. Clarence Mason would be the last person you would think of for that group. Like, in terms of like just going through like names. But like I said, he's a manager. He's not a wrestler. But the only other wrestlers I knew of through like searching like the cage match sort of like database of like wrestlers called Clarence. There was like a couple from like the 1900s, and I'm like, who's going to remember that kind of thing? And
Like, I'm bringing it back.
well, I've just kind of struck gold of like no one else has been called Clarence or anything, and even then, people have either called me Clarence or Sassy just to make life easier. And like, I'm cool with either, buddy.
To take you using a part of it, you're at least paying attention. People. It's good. It's definitely more of an interesting story than a lot of people's mean. Literally, yes, generate a wrestler name. Okay, that'll do.
I've heard that one before.
Oh, it's definitely a better story than mine. But on to sort of the last little one here, and this is a bit of an open floor for you. Is there anything that you would like to see to the fans, both current, future, and in the past?
I definitely have like a good amount to say to the fans. I would like to say to the fans that have like, you know, followed me and like kept up to date with a lot of my schedules, which shows are going to be at. Again, massive thanks. Massive thanks for the following, especially throughout various social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok and Twitch. I'm very flattered by the following per se. And again, a massive thanks to you. And in case people are wondering, is it going to be like the last year? No. I've still got a lot left in the tank. I'll let my body decide when I want to like stop. Per se, that's kind of like how I'm playing. But yeah, at the moment in time, I'm still going to be, you know, growing strong as at this point. So, and at least now in this day and age, there's definitely like more places for me to check out. So I'm not just going to be like in one area. I tend to like be in like other areas for the sake of just like, you know, having a brand, having a following, and stuff like that. And something I remember another old school wrestler, Paul Mallon, saying is apparently the whole like wanting to like put yourself out there and travel, that's kind of been a bit of a dying art in wrestling to an extent. And I'm like, well, at the end of the day, the way I say it is like at the end of the day, if you really want to like make a meal out of this and stuff like that, then you're gonna have to travel. At the end of the day, there are some shows you're gonna have to do the travel, and like in the simplest vein that I also say, like, you know, Lewis Hamilton, he didn't just stay around in Stevenage to become like a Formula One race car driver. No, he traveled. He traveled to like not just various places in this country, but he traveled abroad to like Spain, France, all that jazz. So he didn't become a household name by just being stuck in one location. He became a household name by just branching out to a wider audience, and that's kind of what I like to do as a professional wrestler myself. Is just to branch out to like different audiences, just to get a following, kind of thing. And so far I've been flattered. And as always, you could, like I said, you could always like keep up to date with a lot of my schedules, whether it be through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or Twitch. They're usually my most active platforms, to be honest, as I don't really bother with Twitter, X, or whichever you want to call it. But like I said, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok are my best platforms. You can catch me more actively.
That's good. Well, and that does actually bring us to the end of the question, unless we have any in the... Oh, yes, by the way, you had a little bit of a fan down there in the comments there. Oh, Media Man. He doesn't usually like to pick his favourites, but he says you are one of his favourites.
I'm absolutely flattered and very honoured to be one of your favourites, so thank you very much.
I was going to say, it's not very often he actually says that out in public, to be fair. But did we have any other questions from the viewers in the comments there, Mr. Media Man?
The floor is yours, gentlemen. Ladies, per se. So,
no questions, I see. People are engrossed in the show. We'll have to get some more in beforehand next time. Sassy, here you go. Sassy, why are you so great?
I mean, maybe it's because I'm different. I don't know.
Let you be the judge there, Mr. Smith, down in the comments. Let you be the judge on that one. But there's no more questions for everybody in the comments. I would like to say a massive thank you to Sassy for being my guest this evening, and once again remind everybody about our Patreon, about our social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram. Get yourselves on Facebook, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a share. If you're in the Newcastle area on November 29th, do not forget to get yourselves along to Pride and Punishment, because the last show of the year, we're going to go out with a bang.
Oh, yeah.
We've got to. It's pre-Christmas. It's a pre-Christmas party, people. So get yourselves along, and of course, never forgetting our lovely sponsors at the Tipsy Cow, the place to be on the gay scene in Newcastle. So get yourselves finding their socials, get following, because they put some cracking content up on TikTok. But once again, thank you to Sassy Bear for coming on this evening and being my guest. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. And
it's been a pleasure joining you as well.
Oh, bless you. I'm really glad to hear that. Well, thank you. That's our show, ladies and gentlemen, and we will see you next time on Beyond the Rainbow. Have a good day.
Stay safe.